So if you tell a donor, regardless what happens and the outcome of this election, win or lose, I'm not going anywhere. And the money that you invest into my campaign is going to pay dividends years from now. It's going to pay dividends years from now. And you tell that to a major donor, they'll cut you a check because they know that you're going to be in it for the long haul. And their money is not just going to be thrown away. It's going to be an investment into the future, and that you're building something to last. My name is Michael Pickens. I'm author of the book Libertarian Leadership, and I wrote Our Campaign Success Coach. It's basically a step-by-step guide to setting up your campaign. I'm also the former state chair of the Libertarian Party of Washington, former vice chair of the Libertarian Party of California, and chair of Spokane County, Washington. I also founded the online Libertarian Leadership Academy. We have training for setting up your campaign, leadership training in there. Larry Sharp has a how to build a campaign team course. There's some marketing training, fundraising training, a lot of good stuff in there. If you want access to that, we give it out for free. So reach out to me after the call and I'll go ahead and get you access, as well as copies of the Campaign Success Coach and my book. It's all digital. I wanted to put this up here. I worked with Larry Sharp when he first ran for vice president and on his first gubernatorial campaign. Larry is probably one of the best fundraisers in the Libertarian Party. I don't know if anyone here on the call has had a chance to experience him asking for money at a gala event, but he's probably one of the best there is. So I wanted to read this. I wanted to take the time to thank C. Michael Pickens. Once I knew I was going to run for office, I called C. Michael Pickens. There is no one who has a better grasp of what it takes to create a powerful presence in the libertarian community. There is no one who has a better understanding of how to get your message out effectively. There's no one who works as hard and no one who is as flexible. His ability to review the environment and adjust quickly is uncanny. I could have never been as successful as I was this year without him. He is invaluable. And then this gentleman here, his name is Bob Berg. He's written the Go Giver series, Adversaries into Allies, and Endless Referrals. He's got a couple other ones out there. He went through my training as well. If you want to provide yourself with the best possible chances of winning your election as a libertarian candidate, this is the best resource you can get your hands on. It's a combination field manual and guide on how to organize, lead, communicate, influence, and persuade. As a libertarian, you have the best product on the market, freedom. But in today's political climate, having the best product isn't enough. Fortunately, with this manual workbook, you and your fellow libertarian candidates throughout the country have the legitimate hope of making freedom a reality in our towns, cities, counties, states, and country. I highly recommend Michael's new book to anyone looking to make a positive difference. So let's get started. Success in fundraising, success in your campaign is 100% your responsibility. There is a book called Success Principles. It's by a gentleman named Jack Canfield. I went through his personal coaching program, and the number one, the very first success principle in his program and in his book is to take 100% responsibility for your life. And in this case, it's for your campaign. So it is up to you to realize that you can learn any skill you need to be successful. You can learn how to be a great fundraiser. You can learn how to be a great public speaker. You can learn how to be a great leader and how to recruit new people to your team in a way that's going to inspire them and motivate them to take action, inspire and motivate them to give money to the cause so we can get our message out there, right? 100% responsibility. It is up to you. It is up to me. Right? So the right mindset for fundraising, this is super important, because if you have a mindset that you're not a good fundraiser, or you're not 100% on board with what it is you're doing, you're not going to have a whole lot of success, right? So the first part in having a good mindset is that you have to believe in what you're doing. Obviously, all of you on here are either running for office or you're volunteering for someone else's campaign. You believe it enough that you paid the filing fee, or you put your name on the ballot, you built a website, you're starting to recruit volunteers, you've got your social media presence, right? So you believe in what you are doing, right? It's a good cause, right? Then you also have to have the belief that what you're doing is worthwhile to others, to the point that you can accept their money, right? And I think this is the most difficult part of raising money, is that the belief that when you ask someone for funds, you are asking them to invest in not only you, but the ideas that we stand for, right? The ask, do you believe in what I believe? Okay, I'm going to go right into it. So when you're talking to someone, you know, out in the libertarian sphere or in your community, if you connect with them on an issue, if you're talking to them and they agree with you on whatever it is, the Second Amendment, cannabis legalization, whatever, right? Do you believe in what I believe? And if they say yes, then you immediately go into the next question. Will you support our effort to spread this solution, idea, principle, etc.? So this is the most important part of fundraising, because when you understand that the person that you're talking to also believes in the things that you believe in, it's time to ask them to help. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to ask them for money immediately, right? There's a lot of things that you can ask them to do that don't cost money. And we'll get into this here very shortly. Okay, so this is the basic 101, is just asking, right? You have to have the confidence to just ask, and finding the people that also believe in the same things that you believe is important, because those are the people that you're going to want to ask, right? They believe in what I believe, but they still won't support me, right? So let's say you find someone that you may agree with on some issues, but they're not ready. They're not ready to give you money, and that's okay. The reason why they won't give you money is because they don't know you, they don't like you enough, and they don't trust you enough. This is basic right here. This is basic sales. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. And it's the same thing in politics. They donate to candidates that they know, like, and trust. They will vote for candidates that they know, like, and trust more than the other candidate, right? That's not necessarily the case in some elections if you only have two bad choices, right? But this is the thing that you got to focus on: getting people to know you enough, like you enough, and trust you enough to where they're not only going to put their vote, but their money and their time. Know, like, trust. Now, how do we do this? It's through visibility, credibility, and then comes profitability. So the first part, visibility, they have to know you exist before they're even going to get to know you, like you, and trust you, right? So they might see your stuff organically. They might see your posts on Facebook. They might see, you know, hopefully you're submitting articles or you're getting interviews, right? They might see it organically, but they will see it if you send it to them directly. And this is in the form of mailers or ads or anything else like that. So when you're fundraising, if you can't afford mailers, the key is to start with people that know you, like you, and trust you already, right? And they may be your family, hopefully. They may be your friends, hopefully, getting to know you, like you, and trust you. And these are the people who are going to be the initial funders of your campaign. They are the people who are going to give you money to get started. I'm working with a US Senate candidate right now, and he's got his list together of the people that he knows that are closest to him. And those are the first ones that you're going to ask to get your campaign going. Right now, I don't know where everyone is at in their campaigns. Maybe they've already gotten started. Maybe they've already gone through their personal lists. But if you have not gone through your personal list and asked your friends and family to give you money, that is the very first step in this process. Okay. Now, the credibility. The more they see you, the more they will trust you. And, you know, when I train salespeople, this is huge, because a lot of salespeople, they want to get the money, they want to close the sale right away. They want to do it at the very first call. And I tell them that that's not the case. You should not care if the first call leads to a donation. You shouldn't care if the first call leads to a sale. You shouldn't care if the second, third, or fourth call does either, because it's going to take however much time that it's going to take. But the more that they see you, the more they will trust you. The more you talk to them, the more they see you on social media, the more they experience you, the more they're going to trust you. And the more they trust you, the more that they're going to put their money, their time into your campaign. So let's talk about the value of how we can build that credibility, right? So in person, meeting people in person is by far the best way to get them to know you, like you, and trust you. When you're able to shake their hand, look them directly in the eye, talk about the things that they care about, that is the best way to build credibility with someone. Now, the second best is video, because they're able to see you and hear you also as if you were in person with them. The next one is audio. Audio is third. Interviews, radio interviews, whatever it is. They're able to hear your voice, but they're not necessarily able to see you. And then static images and text are last. However, there is huge value in static images and text, right? So the static images and text can pique their interest into your campaign, right? That's why it's important to run, Facebook ads with a meme, or that's why memes are actually super important, right? Because it gets people interested in your campaign. They're like, oh, who's this guy? I didn't know that, we had anyone running who believed in whatever. So the static images and text can pique their interest enough, which would lead them to listening to an interview or a podcast, or watching one of your videos, or visiting your website because they're just now learning about you, right? And then that can lead them to showing up to an actual event in your community where you can shake their hand, look them in the eye, and ask them for a donation. Profitability in political campaigns, it's votes, it's volunteers, and it is donations. So the profitability isn't necessarily just money. Money is important. Money is a good thing in campaigns. Some people have aversions to money or asking for money. It's because they don't necessarily see the value. But in this case, putting up a billboard, running some ads, sending out a mailer, it takes money, but it's not all of it. The votes and the volunteers as well add to the profitability. So the key, and I'm going to emphasize this, is to start small. And this is what I mean. Small commitments lead to larger commitments, right? Small commitments lead to larger commitments. I'm going to go back here. Let's talk more about this real quick. So if you want to raise lots of money and get big donations in, the key is to ask first for a lot of small donations from people. If someone gives $5 to your campaign, that means they've now vested interest into your campaign, which means that they're going to start paying attention more to your social media. They're going to start reading your articles. They're going to watch your videos. And a $5 donation is super small, right? Get them to buy a yard sign. And here's another thing about yard signs. Make sure when you have yard signs to sell them, right? They are valuable. They do cost money. And most of the time, people will be glad to pay for them. And make sure you have like a 3 times markup at least on the yard signs. So you could turn that one sale of 1 yard sign into 2 to 3 more yard signs so you can continue growing your campaign. However desperate the situation and circumstances, do not despair. When there is everything to fear, be unafraid. When surrounded by dangers, fear none of them. When without resources, depend on resourcefulness. When surprised, take the enemy by surprise. Now, I love this quote. And the cool thing about what we're doing is that it's not really dangerous. There isn't, anything life-threatening. When we ask someone for $5, like there's not really a chance that we're going to be attacked with a sword, right? This quote was about going to battle, and the battles that we have are in the minds of the voters, right? It's all in the mind. It's not really a physical threat. There's no physical threats in this, right? So what are the physical dangers of asking for a donation? Now, I've been threatened going door to door, knocking on doors before, right? People have yelled back, I have a gun on the other side, even though we love the Second Amendment, but there isn't a whole lot of physical danger in asking for a donation, right? So the small commitments, will you vote for me? Getting someone to commit for their vote is a small commitment. It doesn't take any money on their part, but it's going to help with your campaign, because if someone commits to voting for you, they're more likely to share your social media posts, right? They're more likely to buy a yard sign. They're more likely to donate $10. Small commitments are great because they lead most often than not to larger commitments. So what will a $5 donation do? I covered this a little bit. It will solidify their vote. They'll read your social media posts, they will tell their friends and family, and they will believe in your campaign because they've now invested in your campaign. What about large donations? I'm not sure what the max donation is in the state of Alabama. We have a lot of Alabama candidates on this call. How much?
Unlimited.
Unlimited amounts of money. Unfortunately, our supporters are not the Federal Reserve, right? We don't have unlimited amounts of money. So when asking for large donations, there's a couple of things that you got to keep in mind. Obviously, that the person has the money to donate, right? You know, you're not going to ask someone who's unemployed for a large donation. I actually don't think you should ask someone who's unemployed for any amount of financial donation. You can ask them to share your social media, you know, to vote for you, basic stuff like that, volunteer some of their time. But the large donations, you have to create a game plan. Big donors want to see that you're serious about it. In the training online and in my campaign workbook, there is a guide on how to create a campaign prospectus. When you're raising money for a business, you have to have a business plan. Investors are not going to want to put money into your business if you don't even have a business plan. It's the same thing with big donors. Big donors want to see that you're serious and that you're in it to make an impact, and not only in it to make an impact, but you're in it for the long haul. And taking the time to put something like this together, honestly, it only takes a few hours. I've got some trainings on how to do it, and I go through the step-by-step process and even show you how to use Canva, which is what I use for all my graphic design, to create something like this, right? This Matt Dubin, he's a great example. This program is well worth it for any candidate or anyone working on a campaign. Invaluable information on how to build a campaign team and raise money. If you're serious about winning, you owe it to yourself to check, and our future, to check out the Libertarian Leadership Academy. Using the methods I learned from this program, I've already raised $50,000 for my state house campaign, and we saw more than 2 months before the primary. Matt's a great example of this. He emailed it out to all of his friends, family, acquaintances, and said, I'm running for state house. I am serious about it. And he was able to raise $50,000 because they took it seriously, because he took it seriously and showed that he was serious and was in it, not just to win, but if he lost, he was still going to stick around and continue to grow the organization and spread the message, right? So long-term vision, short-term goals. And one thing that I've done in the past is I've offered to help candidates, but on one condition: that they commit to running for office a minimum of 3 times, right? If I'm going to put the effort into their campaign, if I'm going to teach you how to fundraise and how to build an organization, it would not be worth my time if you ran for office, lost, and then disappeared, right? Donors don't want to give you their money if they think you're going to bail if you lose. On the flip side, they will give you more money if they know that you're going to stick around after the first campaign, right? I'm assuming it's most everyone's first campaign. And the cool part about it is that your first campaign, most likely you don't know a whole lot about building a campaign team, about putting a website together, the issues, public speaking, fundraising. You're just starting to build your team. You're just starting to build your network, right? You're just getting started, and then all of a sudden the election happens, and let's say you win, fantastic. You're obviously in it for the long haul, but let's say you lose, right? Let's be realistic. Libertarians predominantly have not had a good track record of winning elections. Now, that's changing and it's getting better. And because of this, because having the long-term vision and short-term goals, it's going to continue to get better, right? So if you tell a donor, regardless what happens and the outcome of this election, win or lose, I'm not going anywhere. And the money that you invest into my campaign is going to pay dividends years from now. It's going to pay dividends years from now. And you tell that to a major donor, they'll cut you a check because they know that you're going to be in it for the long haul, and their money is not just going to be thrown away. It's going to be an investment into the future, and that you're building something to last. Right? Because the next time you run for office, you're going to be ready, way more ready than the first time that you ran for office, right? You're going to have the website already created. You're not going to have to stumble around and work on that, right? Hopefully you'll have some semblance of a campaign team and volunteers, right? We'll just move on to the next campaign. Hopefully you've reached out and you've gotten small donations from a whole lot of people. So you have some type of donor base that you're going into the second campaign. And the people who are giving you $5 a month, you can call them up and see if they can increase it to $25 a month, to $50 a month, right? You're building on what you started to build. And that is how we succeed long-term, is through the short-term goals right now. If you commit to learning these skills and becoming the best candidate possible, then this is going to be a huge help for all of us and yourself, and it will pay dividends, not just for that donor, but for yourself as well. It's not just about the political campaign either, because, you know, I've worked with hundreds of candidates and I've seen what happens if a candidate commits to learning these skills. Guess what happens after the campaign? Every aspect of their life improves. They're way more confident. They have a bigger network of people in their community. Right? Their life gets better because of it, and they become better people because of the campaign. As long as you've committed to becoming better through the campaign and looking at the campaign as a learning experience. You're going to make a lot of mistakes during the campaign, but it's only a mistake. They are only mistakes if you do not learn from them. If you learn from them, it is a lesson, and that's how you have to look at it. What do we got next? Okay, so you've made your campaign prospectus, but you're still afraid to ask. This is something that when I first got started in fundraising in the LP, like I was afraid to ask questions. Salespeople have this fear also, right? The fear of asking if they'll donate. Now, this is something that you have to get over through your subconscious mind, right? Whenever you feel afraid to do something, ask yourself where that fear comes from. Does it come from an actual physical threat or from the unknown? Is it linked to an action that is outside your comfort zone? Investigation is required in order to move out of our comfort zone. Forward progress is stymied by comfort. Fear is dispelled by knowledge. So one thing that I've done in my own business and taught my salespeople is that you just have to make the calls. You just have to make the calls. You just have to talk to people. You have to make the ask, because when you first start asking, you're not going to be very good at it. Ask yourself, am I subconsciously programmed to suck? Suck is a technical term, okay? Definition, one is bad at something. This is from the Urban Dictionary. So you have to ask yourself, is there programming in my subconscious mind that keeps me from asking, keeps me from picking up the phone, keeps me from talking to people, asking them to help my campaign, right? There's so many other things that your subconscious mind will tell yourself to do. You know, instead of making 10 phone calls this evening, you decide to get off this program and watch a show on Netflix. Oh, I'll make the phone calls tomorrow. I'll make the phone calls tomorrow. Guess what? No, the first Tuesday in November is going to come quick. And if you procrastinate, if you allow your subconscious mind to create these excuses on why you're not making 10 phone calls a night, you know, you're not going to be in a very good place. You're not going to feel good about yourself. But I can tell you right now, if you just make those calls, if you just set those goals of making those 10 phone calls and not giving a shit what happens, not caring if they say no, and actually flipping that around, if you get on the call and you set a goal for yourself, like I'm going to get 10 no's tonight. I'm going to get 10 people to tell me no, that they do not want to donate to me. right? You will be more successful in your campaign otherwise, because more often than not, the people that you call will say yes. But if you go into it expecting a no, you will never be disappointed because you're going for that, right? And if they tell you yes, then you'll be even more ecstatic than if they told you no. But if your goal is to go after the no, then you'll be way better off. And sometimes a no doesn't mean no. It just means not yet. It means they don't know you enough. They don't like you enough. They don't trust you enough to give you their money, or they just don't have it. And that's okay too. But you have to be okay with the no. That fear of rejection is big. Maybe, you picked it up from your childhood. Maybe you were, you asked a girl out and she told you no and made fun of you and blah, 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 right? Who knows what it is in your past that created this fear of asking. And maybe your parents scolded you every time you asked for something. So now you're afraid to ask for help, right? So you have to figure out what's in your subconscious mind that has caused this. And then at the same time, you have to push through it. That is the only way to get better at something, is to push through and just do it. So let's talk about the subconscious mind. I've got a really good analogy on how the subconscious mind works. So let's say you've got a bucket. You've got like a 5-gallon bucket that you could pick up at Lowe's or Home Depot. You've got this bucket and you start out with an empty bucket in life. And as you go through life as a child, your parents tell you no, or you get rejected, right? Whatever it is. And you've got these 2 hoses, and one hose pumps muck, this nasty swamp water. That's what it pumps out. It pumps it into your subconscious mind, your empty bucket. And then this other hose pumps out crystal clear, clean, pristine drinking water. It's straight from the spring and it's beautiful. Now, as you go through life, let's say you get rejected. Now that nasty swamp water is getting pumped into your subconscious mind. But let's say you have a success. So then some good clean water is going in there. And going through life, it's back and forth. Or, you tell yourself, I can't do this. Well, there's some more nasty, mucky water. So the problem is that over time, the bucket gets filled with this swamp water, and there's like a layer of gunk down at the bottom. And you have to continually add that clean water, telling yourself that this is something that you can do, that you can be a great candidate, that you can be a great fundraiser, that you can, be a great public speaker, that you could learn these skills. And you have to tell it to yourself continually and pump that clean water in there. How long is it going to take to pump positive affirmations and the clean water into your bucket to clear out all that gunk that's been building up in your subconscious mind? So we are in an instant gratification society. So when things don't happen immediately, most people quit. They stop. But that's not the reality of things. You have to have that long-term vision, and you have to continually work on it. And that's the only way that you're going to get better, is by continually working on it. The official psychiatric term is stinking thinking. Absolutely, Laura. That is the official term, just like suck, right? So, all right, so let's keep going. The real man smiles in trouble, gathers strength from distress, and grows brave by reflection. So it's all about moving through those no's, getting towards the yeses, understanding that the no's are part of the process to get to success. Let's look at baseball. It's a really great analogy. So a good baseball player has like a 300 batting average. Okay, so 3 of the 10 times they're at bat, they hit the ball. So if you go with that mindset, like if I get 3 out of 10 people to give me $5, that's a success. If you look at it like that, you're going to be in a really good position. If you look at it like how some people do, that they need perfection, and if one person tells them no, they're going to quit, then you're never going to get anywhere with your campaign, and you might as well just run a paper campaign and just, sit back and do nothing, because that's not going to help you get anywhere, right? The first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be a captive of the environment in which you first find yourself. We talked about this earlier. When you first get started running for office, you probably don't know a whole lot about running for office, about door knocking, about making phone calls, about putting on events, about, reaching out, writing press releases. There's just so much stuff to learn. And it's only through taking the steps and continually taking steps and being okay with stumbling and making mistakes will you find yourself in the environment of success, right? Whatever you water is what you will grow. Whatever you think about will magnify. Whatever you put in your mind will come back out in your life. If anyone wants any personal help with their campaign, you can go to the website, libertarianleadership.org, and I'll get on a 30, 45-minute call with you to talk about what it is that you're dealing with and maybe offer some suggestions and some coaching and some resources to help you specifically with whatever it is that you're looking for in your campaign. And then we're having a subconscious reprogramming live retreat here near me in Willapa Bay, which is Long Beach, Washington. There's only 4 slots available. One of the slots is already taken, and this will be psychedelic assisted subconscious reprogramming. If you have things in your subconscious mind that is just like ingrained in there to where you cannot make the phone calls, or you're just incredibly afraid of public speaking, or you're just, there's mental blocks in there that you need to get out. Subconscious reprogramming that is psychedelic assisted is one of the best ways to create the new neural pathways in the brain to be able to do that. So that is it for the training so far. Does anyone have any questions? You're free to unmute yourself. Any specifics on raising money, on how to ask, any of that stuff?
I have a question. So
Sure.
we have kind of a generic script that we're working off of. How do you write more specific scripts for maybe issues, or if we have like a particular list where we know people are interested in something, where do you start in designing those lists or those scripts?
So what we do is we start with questions, asking good questions to find out information to connect with people. So asking them like, hey, I'm running for office and I'm looking to create my platform. What are some of the main issues that you care about? That person will just rattle off what they're interested in, and you write that down, and then you talk to them about that. And that's going to help you build rapport, because people won't care about you until they know that you care about them. And that's the easiest way to do that, is by asking them what they care about, but you're doing it in a non-threatening way. Right? You're doing it in a way that, hey, I'm looking to strengthen my platform, and I'm calling around to see what other libertarians in my area care about and what's going on. And I'm assuming you're calling libertarians, right? Self-identified libertarians. Great. So even though libertarians in general, we want liberty, we want freedom, we all have our pet issues that we really care about. Right? So you're able to find out what it is that they care about. You can update your list with that issues. You can market those issues directly to that person, and you start building the rapport, because now they think, and not just think you should do this, but now they think that you are taking more of an active interest in them and what they care about. And then they're going to be more apt to donate to your campaign, because, hey, you care about the Second Amendment? Here, check out the page on my website where I promote the Second Amendment and whatever issues that they've had locally with police or whatever else, who knows, right? They'll tell you though, and they'll be happy to tell you all about it. So, and they'll tell you how to pitch them. Cool. That was a great question, by the way. Does anyone else?
If nobody's got one, I'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, for sure.
So something that just happened over the weekend is we got back all of our data for our statewide poll that we just did. And it's a lot of really positive information. How do you present data on a phone call so that the listener is interested in? So if I'm saying, look, we are running at 16% in this statewide race, we need to get 20% for ballot access retention, or whatever the information is.
Yeah.
How do you present that data to make it exciting?
Yeah, that's actually really exciting. Is that what you got back? 16%?
16%. Ruth is actually on the call, and the weighted data shows us that she's currently polling at 16%. We're really excited about it.
That's awesome. Now, what is 20% the threshold that you need for ballot access?
Ballot access retention. We
Okay.
we hit the signature requirement, and so now we're going for retention and beyond. I mean, Ruth's going to win. I know it, but how do I sell to a donor on the phone that, because also it's a lot of times they don't understand the goal of ballot access retention.
Sure.
As well as, you know, all the other positive things going on, but I want to be able to present the data in a way that donors that are at least interested in data can get excited about it.
How much did getting ballot access cost you?
$250,000.
Cool. So
closer to 300.
Closer to 300,000. Okay, so that is a huge chunk of money that could have gone into something, you know, more valuable, right? Advertising, marketing, the principles, the issues, the solutions. Excuse me. So that right there would be my first point. It's like we spent $300,000 on ballot access. We're polling at 16%. We just need to get 4% more to be able to hit that 20% mark to retain ballot access and then save $300,000. Now, to do that, we're planning to do X marketing campaign. To do X marketing campaign, we need X dollars to make it happen. Now, I'm calling because, you know, I know you care about these issues, right? What can you do to help us so we don't have to spend $300,000 again in 2 years to get ballot access? And then they'll say 20 bucks or 50 bucks or whatever. Maybe they'll, you know, say they're broke or who knows, right? But it's just all about making the phone calls and talking to people and let them tell you what they can do, you know, what they're willing to do. And then they might ask more questions about things and so on and so forth. But I think you've got a great pitch. I think that's an awesome pitch. That, you know, that poll is invaluable. 16%, you are almost there. Like, you need to run marketing campaigns. You need to make sure people are voting for Ruth Page Nelson. And the only way is through visibility, right? People have to know she exists. And then once they know she exists, they have to start getting to like her, right? And when they get to like her, now they're starting to trust her with their vote. And then hopefully their dollars, or hopefully telling their friends and family, because that's the biggest one, is those personal referrals are huge. So I hope that answered your question. Awesome. Laura, did you have something?
Can I share my screen for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you?
Yeah, I need to go ahead and make you the host to do that. So give me 1 second.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to.
No.
I don't know how familiar all of you are with, well, I know most of you know about Ballotpedia and iVote. There's another program out there that's been around at least since 2010. It's called ActiVote, ActiVote.net. And they're looking for all the candidates to, you know, give information and stuff about themselves. And one thing it does is allow the people that have memberships, which are free, by the way, to participate in polls that they run. And so I looked up this last night and I got really, really scared.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit, Laura.
I'm like, I'm scared. Oh God.
What if you win? What if you win?
I'm probably going to need a case of Depends shipped to me. So and it's like, I just wanted to share this with you guys because there's all kinds of polling stuff out there, you know, different ways to do it and everything. I think it's great that Ruth is polling at 16%. I have no idea. This doesn't tell me how many people voted in this poll or anything like that. So I'm just,
if Laura wins,
see if I make my goal of 20.1%, we will have retained ballot access. So
nice.
That's awesome, Laura.
Laura, if you win, I think we'll all chip in some money and get you a whole pallet of Depends. Get you.
Thank you, because I'll need
bulk.
it.
Buy it in bulk.
Michael, can I ask a little bit about some maybe non-traditional fundraising or some out of the box stuff that we're working on? So Jimmy Blake, our governor candidate, is about to bike across the state. And so we're going to do like a campaign of it costs $5 to get him down a mile. We need to get 50 miles tomorrow. So we need $250. Or, you know, we're talking about like working with like a cannabis company and doing the devil's lettuce for libertarians, or, you know, I'm coming up with some different marketing names for that.
So
they're obviously smaller donations, but
sure.
how do you leverage those to, you know, you were talking about the small donations leading to the larger ones. How would you begin that transition? Someone who wants to donate a smaller amount to then transition to a larger amount.
So I think the biking across the state is a great one. It's very family friendly. It's very wholesome, right? And, you know, it'll get press, publicity. You know, you have reasons why to ask for money. You know, it's a really good idea, I think. And however, the devil's lettuce thing, I would stay away from that, honestly, especially in a conservative state. You know, to get some Republican votes, keep religion out of that. You know,
oh, well, maybe, you know, we were rolls for reels. We have Jonathan Reels running. You know, the idea is it's
that's fine.
Delta 8 is legal, so doing something at one of like our tailgating events, or something that's a little bit also with there's left audience events that we're going to.
Yep.
And using those as like a fundraising, you know, for a $20 donation to the party, you can get this commemorative 2022 campaign pre-roll, Delta 8 pre-roll.
Sure. Yeah. So I think out of the box is great because, you know, it shows creativity. People like it. People like things that are exciting, that are not, you know, normal. And I think it's good ways to raise money, right? It's something that people can be like, oh yeah, I'll support that. That sounds great. You know, so I think that's a good idea. Now, what was specifically your question? Like how to transition?
So let's say because we have some lists that are more geared to those low dollar amount donors. Sometimes we know that they have the potential to give more. So let's say we get them to donate $20 to sponsor 4 miles of Jimmy's bike ride.
Yep.
How do we then get them without like, because I don't want to call them every day. I don't want to call them every week. How do I transition them after maybe 1 or 2 small donations into a larger donation? How do you approach that subject and make that?
So, you know, it's all about the constant contact with these people. So obviously you're going to get them into an email campaign and a drip campaign, and then even possibly a text campaign as well, if you have those capabilities, right? You know, $5 a mile is fantastic and it gets started, but I can see what you're trying to do, and you're trying to build a base of donors. Right. And that entry level $5 per mile is wonderful at doing that. Right. And then you have to take it to the next level. And unfortunately or fortunately, you are the chair of the party and you are the main fundraiser. You know, you're the main guy. Right. So you're going to have to set some goals of how many calls you're going to make, you know, or just write really good content and start doing live streams, right? And start, you know, posting videos and stuff, you know, and your vice chair can do this as well. Candidates should be doing this, right? That's how people get to know you, like you, and trust you. But Jimmy Blake, he is the top of the ticket, and the top of the ticket will raise the most money, but unfortunately has the least chance of winning. And I'm sorry, Jimmy, but that is the truth of the matter. So it is your job at the top of the ticket to promote all of the down ballot candidates. And from what I know, that you're doing that, and that's why you even ran for governor, is because you care about, you know, all the down ballot candidates. But that's, you know, that's Jimmy's job, and that's your job as well. But you, Gavin, you're more strategy and tactics and long-term vision of the party. Jimmy is more of the right now, let's get this done right now type deal. Does that make sense?
Oh, joy.
And everyone on this call is going to hold you accountable. You're welcome. Thank you all so much for listening in or watching this training. If you got some good value from it, please head over to Patreon/LL Academy and become one of our Patreon members. You get exclusive content before that. You'll get the workbook and the book and some other stuff. Or if you are a candidate running for office or you're a campaign manager and you'd like to get some coaching, we have a 3-month coaching program. It's a personal one-on-one coaching program. It is awesome. There's been so much success that candidates have had going through this. If you'd like to jumpstart your campaign, get a campaign going, maybe you already ran for office and you're looking to do it better next time, get signed up for the free coaching call. There's a free coaching call. We'll cover a bunch of stuff. You'll get some good value from it. And then we'll talk to you about our 3-month coaching program. Also, check out our subconscious reprogramming retreat that's coming up in January. We're going to be having these more often. We've done these more one-on-one. You know, I'm a certified hypnotherapist and I've helped people basically transform their life, go from where they are right now to where they want to be. So please, if you're interested in that, reach out to us at libertarianleadership.org. Thank you so much.